I really hate to interrupt good conversation, but if you could get seated, we have such a full, exciting agenda, that'd be great. Thank you, what good listeners. As a fourth grade teacher, I love that. Hi, I am Donna Peduto, which I know everybody knows, and I'm director of the West Virginia Public Education Collaborative. We're a statewide entity that strives to champion public education. And Dr. Gee and Gayle Manchin were our co-founders, and they are pressing us towards that mark. We also have the goal to connect K-12 and higher ed for seamless production. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to our 5th annual Focus Forward with big energy, and I feel big energy here in the room today, so thank you for that. It's sponsored by the West Virginia Public Education Collaborative and the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation. And I really want to express our deepest thanks to the Board of Trustees and the President and CEO of Benedum. Jen Giovannetti has been supportive, and her vision behind the Focus Forward, preparing today for the West Virginia for tomorrow, has been fantastic. Now, you're going to hear more about the history of Focus Forward from our opening speaker, Gayle Manchin, but I just want to say 5 years ago, the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation and the PEC recognized the need to bring together all of you, which are government, business, education leaders, to address the emerging issues that will shape the way we live, work, and play in the future. We'll hear more about it, as I said, from Gayle. But we're so honored to have you here today and feel like we have the best minds in West Virginia and beyond right here with us to explore economic opportunities and workforce demands that are transforming West Virginia. We're really excited to have our largest crowd, thanks to all of you. We actually had to close down registration a couple days ago, so we're really excited to have you here. And I want to recognize the wonderful planning team from WVU and Marshall. If you put up your hand if you helped plan this. And the PEC board, we have a lot of board members here. And we're led by Mary Ann Reed, who you'll hear from a little bit later, and our wonderful chair, Scott Roetruck, who supports us all the way. They have really worked together, this group, to bring a wonderful agenda. The content is great. The panelists are amazing. And at this time, I'd like to recognize all elected officials that are present today. We really appreciate you being here and would ask you to stand. We appreciate all you do for public policy and education and business. Well, as you know, this year's theme is big energy, and a lot of people have said, how did you pick that name? But if you think about it, it really aptly portrays the exciting innovation and technology trends that are transforming energy, the energy sector in West Virginia today. One definition that I read of big energy I thought really fit. It says, believing in yourself and not letting anybody change your mind. So we feel like the new energy landscape in West Virginia has that same vibe as it moves forward with confidence and intention. We have business and education leaders, government officials, funding experts, and innovative thought leaders on our panel that want to engage in discussions with you about our future of West Virginia in this field. Well, now I really have an honor that's personal and just all over wonderful to be able to introduce Federal Co-Chair Gayle Manchin as our opening speaker today. Not only is she the co-founder with Jen Giovannetti of Focus Forward, but she's also the founding member and first chair of the West Virginia Public Education Collaborative, which I'm happy to say celebrate our 5th year this year. And nobody represents big energy better than Gayle. She's now representing our state and region in a crucial role as the first federal co-chair of the Appalachian Regional Commission from West Virginia. And one of her top priorities is to support the economic opportunities in this region. And this aligns perfectly with what we strive to do today. As all of you know, she's been a change agent in every position she's had in our entire state, is really proud of the huge impact that she's making already as federal co-chair in the economic region of West Virginia, but also beyond. Gayle, we welcome you today to share your insights and vision, and thank you so much for all you do.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, that's it. Well, it is indeed an honor to be. You can't imagine, one of the nice things when you have the opportunity to be a speaker is to look out and see the audience. And of course, you're at your table, but what a beautiful sight that this room is full of people that are making it happen every day in West Virginia. So thank you, and thank you for being here to share your ideas, to hear some new ideas. Conversation that President Gordon Gee and I had was a discussion. And then the discussion turned into a vision. And then as we sort of drew on that vision, we realized that we didn't have to recreate the wheel. The Hunt Institute in North Carolina that was formed by Governor Jim Hunt many years ago. Are any of you familiar with the Hunt Institute? Well, they had, Governor Hunt had done this for many years, had pulled forums together where he brought in legislative leaders and thought leaders and business people to try to look at what might be happening down the road, like for the next legislative session, for policy that might need to be addressed. And it was very successful. And I had been to several of his meetings. Actually, Joe had too when he was governor. And so we had the opportunity to see how this really worked. So I called Governor Hunt and said, would you entertain a group of us to come down and just sort of visit your institute and see how it works? And he opened his arms to us and gave us a full tour, and in fact then continued to work with us to make sure that we got out all the information we needed, that he supported us in every way he could. And so then this vision became a reality. And we started out knowing that to do something like this is not about what's happening today or what we did yesterday. It really is where we want to be 5 years from now. So 5 years ago, we were looking at artificial intelligence. And then we were looking at machine learning and other aspects. And then we were talking about innovative technologies. And then we were talking about beyond the cloud. And so now it is so appropriate that we are turning our thoughts to energy, technology in energy, as we look and think about the diversification of energy across this country, as we realize from our history that the Appalachian region built this country. It supplied the energy for electricity. It provided timber to build cities. It provided solar, sun and wind and water. We have it all within this region. And because of what we have in this region, the United States has always been a superpower. And I believe, as do all of you in this room, which is why you're here, that we continue to have the power and the energy that this country needs to remain energy secure and continue to be a superpower in this country. And so that's why we join here today. What is the next step? what can we do better and bigger throughout this region? And so it's just been a real honor and pleasure to grow with this group, to learn and share and garner from that, so that when I got this appointment, when I was appointed to the Appalachian Regional Commission, I felt like I actually went in with a great deal of background, a great deal of experience and expertise, because I'd had this phenomenal opportunity to meet so many great people along the way in business and elected officials and education and nonprofits and foundations, all of those groups that really build your economy and build your communities. And so it has been a real honor for me to serve the last 2 years in this position. We're very fortunate. This country has so many opportunities. The federal government has been very generous. President Biden grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. That's ARC, Pennsylvania. And he understands rural America. He understands that one size does not fit all, and yet that there should be parity. That just because we live in the Appalachian region should not mean that we don't have equal opportunities, equal chances to advance and to dream and to be whatever we want to be. And so we're very fortunate in this period of time to have those kinds of resources. So at ARC, we have several grants, and I think several of you in here have benefited from some of those grants. But before I do that, I really would like for the Donna mentioned the board, but I'd really like for the board of I started to say ARC, of PEC. Please stand up. You serve on the board of PEC. I asked them to stand up because, yes, and I asked them because they represent every bit of our workforce, our brain trust, everything that is happening throughout West Virginia. We have people on the board that represent that sector, and it's important. But in our ARC, we have several grants that are available, and our mission runs a lot parallel to what they're doing here at PEC. But we have power grants, and power grants were created 5 years ago specifically to address coal-impacted regions. And so we have done that over the past 5 years. I think just in the last couple of years, we have given about $115 million to our coal-impacted in communities. And the industry that has been impacted most is workforce development and worker training. That's where the bulk of the money has gone. Some has gone into broadband, a little bit into entrepreneurship, but the bulk of it has really been focused around economic development and workforce training. So those we're very, very happy about. But then this region, as so the rest of the country, was impacted by opioid substance use disorder. And no area was impacted more than the Appalachian region. And so we knew that communities were suffering, families were suffering because of this epidemic. But we also knew that from our data and the research that we had done, that it was not a one-step process, that recovery to work was a holistic approach that involved the whole community. Opioid use is a community problem, and so it takes the community to solve it. It takes your law enforcement, it takes your faith community, your business community that will actually give people a second chance. It takes your health community and your education community, so that as individuals come out of recovery, they have a safe place to live. They have transportation to training, to get a job, to be able to move into a career. that they have a support system that stays with them, that that business community supports them and allows them to go for counseling if they need it, or to go before their parole board, because many people that are addicted to opioids or alcohol are also have been incarcerated. And so it becomes this holistic approach, which ARC very much supports. And so we have been giving those grants for the last 3 years, and we continue to move. You know, people say, oh, we're making great strides. Well, I do believe we're making great strides. But unfortunately, West Virginia still holds a very ugly title of having the most deaths per capita from opioid overdose last year. That's not a ranking that we want to keep. And so we continue with our Inspire grants. And I think we have maybe at least a couple of people in here that have gotten Inspire grants. Do we have anyone in here that have received Inspire grants? You'll raise your hand. Yes. Okay. Thank you. And how many have received Power grants? Yes. Okay. Thank you. All right. And then last year, I was very committed that I wanted to visit all the 13 states before the end of the year, and I was able to do that. And it was a wonderful experience to see the commonality among our counties and our ARC states, how much we shared. Now, there were unique things about the different states and some of the projects, but the work ethic, the values of the people that live there, the beauty of the land, the connectedness of that mountain ridge, which ties us all together, the rivers that link us together, just became so obvious. And I realized, as I looked around, that 13 states were writing these wonderful grants and doing wonderful projects. And I thought, you know, they did not name us the 13 states of Appalachia. They named us the Appalachian Regional Commission. And I think it was intentional that we were to work together as a region. We were this mountain ridge that ran from southern New York to northern Mississippi, that we ought to be able to work together to lift up our region, because if we did that, all of our states were going to benefit. So as I have continued to travel, I have also continued to encourage that we are not 13 states. We are 423 counties. We are 26 million people. The only entity bigger than us in this country is California and Texas. Think about the strength that gives this region. You're marketing. You're not marketing to 1,000 people in your community. You're marketing to 26 million people that stretch across this region. And so we created the Arise grants. And the only criteria for that grant is you have to work with another state. You have to move the boundaries and start working together. And we have been so excited about some of the wonderful concept papers that have come before us. Our first grant that we have already awarded is a broadband grant called Connect Humanity, which actually connected 12 states. They're going to provide internet service for 50 of the most vulnerable communities down our region. But we're looking at green energy programs. We're looking at how we amass grants to give out through our funders across the region. We're looking at our academic institutions that are all up and down our region. How could we create a well-trained cybersecurity workforce from southern New York to northern Mississippi? Those are things that can happen within this region. Those are the things that keep this region so strong and so important for the rest of the country. And so I just want to take this opportunity again to say thank you. It's a team effort. It's a partnership. That's why I'm called a Federal Co-Chair. because we are partners with our states and with our local communities. But the work is done right here. The work is done right here at home. And so thank you. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your commitment, both to your communities, to your families, to the people that you live and work with every day. And most importantly, thank you for coming together to share today in some of the wonderful things that are happening and will be happening as we look forward, as we continue that vision with the Public Education Collaborative. Thank you.